Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the chocolate room. Hold your breath, make a wish, count to three. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. Wonka is directed by Paul King, who co-wrote the screenplay with Simon Farnaby and stars Timothy Chalamet, Keegan McKelly, Hugh Grant, and newcomer Kella Lane. The story is a prequel to the 1971 film Wonka with Gene Wilder and shows us how Willy Wonka met the Oompa Loompas and how he got his factory going, but is also sidetracked by numerous villainous people along the way. I thought this movie was pretty good right off the bat. I got a few gripes. I don't think it's perfect, and I think that some of the story choices are a bit weird. This is a very weird movie because this movie is actually trying to be a prequel to Wonka, to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but this doesn't feel like the same universe. It feels like the same tone, but it doesn't feel like the same universe, which is weird because this movie is full of... Well, there's moments that Willy Wonka, Timothy Chalamet, he uses kind of magic. He's sort of a magician here that makes chocolate, and there were some of that a bit in the 1971 version, but not as much. Here it's like times 10, and the 1971 version was like times 2, but here it's full on magic. Yeah, he's a magician, and I don't know how I feel about that just yet. I enjoyed this movie overall, but this movie compared to the 1971 version, I don't think this takes place in the same universe. It just doesn't. It's not comparable. I think the 1971 version is much better than this movie, but this movie it's good for kids. It's got some great musical numbers. It's got some really good supporting characters as well, and the pacing of this movie is very fast. It's very entertaining. I wasn't bored once watching this movie, which is good. The script here, the script is decent. Like I said, there's the moments that I did not expect. I did not expect this story to go the way it did, but overall, I was satisfied watching this movie. Timothy Chalamet here, he's incredible. I mean, you would expect anything less. He's one of the best actors of his generation, and he's terrific here. He can sing, he can act. He's very charismatic. He feels a lot like Gene Wilder's Wonka. He gives a great performance. This entire movie rests on his shoulders, and without his performance, I don't think you have much of a film per se. But his performance elevates this movie so much. He's terrific. Hugh Grant as like the small Loompa Loompa. He's the main character, like the main one we see in this movie. In the original, we saw a bunch of them, but like he's the main one. I think Hugh Grant is fun in the movie. He's really entertaining as the small Oompa Loompa. He sings. He steals some chocolate from Wonka, and I think he's very fun, very entertaining. And also, this movie does make effort to like flesh out Wonka's backstory, which I think it's cool. It's clearly not tied to the 2005 version because there's like contradictions there, but it's tied to the 1971 version. Timothy Chalamet feels like Gene Wilder, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can give this movie. It feels the same. The performance of Timothy Chalamet feels like Gene Wilder, but the universe unfortunately doesn't really mesh well with the 1971 version. Too whimsical. It's almost like Mary. I think it's pretty accurate. Like Mary Poppins to Mary Poppins Returns. They don't feel like the same beast. They don't feel like the same universe. They just feel like somebody's trying to imitate imitate the story, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel lived in, or it just feels off, in my opinion. As for like criticism, like I already said, this movie is very magical. It's very whimsical, and sometimes to a fault, because like people are floating in the air. Wonka takes some like huge objects out of his hat, like he's in Harry Potter or something. It's a bit much. It's a little much. I would have liked the movie to focus a bit on the Oompa Loompas too, a bit more. We don't get much on their side of the story, but I'm sure that talks are happening for a sequel. So I wouldn't be surprised like that they flesh them out more in the sequel movie. Also the villains. None of the villains really worked for me. I thought like they were obstacles. They were okay obstacles for Wonka, but then again, they were so cartoony. They were terrible villains. Like let's say Slugworth, 71 version. He's a villain. He wants Wonka's recipe from the chocolate that he makes. But I thought that he was like a real fleshed out character. He seems evil. He's doing evil things, but like he doesn't seem like a cartoon. These villains, all of them. There's like 5 villains in this movie, and they all feel like cartoons. No problem with the performances per se, but it's just the way they're written. And they're written like they're cartoons, and I thought that it was a bit much. But yeah, this movie is a full-on musical. You have to know that going in. There's a lot of songs in this movie, and most of them are good. Some of them a lot of them are brand new, and there's a few recognizable themes there, which I appreciated. But you have to know that going in that it's actually a musical, and it's not like it's not a normal movie where there's plenty of dialogue. It's more musical than anything else. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Wonka. I think this is a good movie for like families to go on the holidays. So definitely go see this one. I think it's a fine movie. It's not gonna win any Oscars. It's not gonna change your life or anything. But I enjoyed myself from for the time I was in the movies. Timothy Chalamet gives a pretty great performance. The movie made me happy, and yeah, those are my thoughts on Wonka. I would give this movie a B. I think it's a solid, fun time at the movies, and yeah, just don't expect it to be. Just don't have maybe too high expectations. That's just what I say. Just expect like a fun film for your family, and that's it. Let me know what you thought about Wonka down in the comments below. See you next time.